All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Legacy Builders podcast. I'm your host, Kyle McGee. Today, we're diving into an awesome story that fuses engineering brilliance, entrepreneurial grit, and visionary technology. Our guest today is Camilo Giraldo, an entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience across construction, development, and emerging real estate technologies. As the founder of Seven Seas Ventures and the visionary behind its three verticals, real estate, construction, and tech, Camilo has overseen portfolios worth over $500 million, covering more than 1 million square feet and thousands of acres. Today, we're going to unpack Camilo's journey, what it means to build from the ground up, how he's blending old school real estate with future-facing technology, and what legacy looks like when you lead across multiple industries. Camilo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate you. I'm really honored to be here, and it's been great getting to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just said your name in like 3 different ways in that introduction. I think I went Camilo, and Camilo. Sorry about that. But a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Mike Elcott, made the introduction, and we both have a professional relationship with Mr. Mike, and we got to meet down in 30A a couple months ago, and I was like so enthralled by your story, which is part of the reason why I've started this podcast. Is I meet these amazing people all across, just in life, and it's like, man, I hate that I'm the only one that got to hear that story, So I'm excited to dig in, really, man. And I'd love the listeners to hear just kind of your high level, journey from where you started as a young kid to where you're at today.
I appreciate you. And thank you for saying that. Look, we all have a story. I don't care, what you're doing today, what kind of accomplishments, whether you think they're big or small. The beautiful thing about life is we all have a journey, I wish we had time to just listen to everyone because there's always just so much we can learn. But yeah, where do you want me to start? Just a high level overview from sort of childhood to today, and then just at any point in time, you can kind of stop me and ask me questions, put me on the spot.
Yeah, no, you had if I remember correctly, you had a really interesting journey of your family's background and then how you came over to the United States. So maybe start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my family, we're originally from Colombia, South America. We really grew up in a very privileged, beautiful life in Colombia, very strong financial means. My family was in multiple industries, from cattle ranching to real estate and investments. And I grew up in a beautiful childhood. My parents, we lived in a 3-story home. We had 2 maids, car driver, a lot of love from my mom and dad. And in a span of about 5 to 7 years, right around the time I was about 8 years old, we lost it all. A combination of multiple things, from political reasons. My uncle was kidnapped. My dad was shot once. He survived. And then in combination with the country going through some financial turmoil in a span of five or so years, we lost it all. A lot of family members, and financially we had to give that up. Had to move to the countryside of Colombia, go to a public school, which down there public schools are not like they are here. And in 2005, my family, we really packed our bags, kind of had a day or so to pack our bags on December 31st, 2005, and came to this country with a one-way ticket. All we had was $1,000 to our names. A lot of inspiration, dreams, came here. I was 15 years old. So it was my mom, my dad, my brother, and I. The only person we knew was my uncle, who was my dad's best friend. He passed away in 2009, so he was like a second father to me. But he had heard of this little town called Santa Rosa Beach through a random connection. A friend of his had a friend that water skied, and there's some private water ski lakes in Santa Rosa Beach, so that was sort of the connection. And so Freeport, Florida, a more affordable town at the time, about 20 minutes south of Santa Rosa Beach is kind of where we landed. I remember there was this little old brick house, a studio really. It's like a 1950s shack, maybe 400 square feet. We had 2 air mattresses in the floor. My uncle gave the bed to my parents. She slept in a air mattress, and so was my brother and I. And that's kind of where our new life has started. A lot of dreams, a lot of fear, but just a lot of enthusiasm. It's just everything. Everything was just so surreal. Everything like looked so different. I remember going into Walmart for the first time, and it just felt such an American place. And just I still to this day, when I go into a Walmart, that smell of it, I just reminds me to the first time. And now Walmart is one of our clients for our construction division. And I always tell them this story. They crack up. They think it's really cool. But spoke very little broken English. And I remember when we landed in Miami, we lost our flight connection. And I remember my mom crying, not knowing any English, not knowing we were going to be able to make it to Freeport. My dad really looked confused. And I remember as a 15-year-old kind of having this feeling of empowerment and of responsibility. And I just held my mom's hand and said, hey, don't worry about it. I'll figure this out. And I went. And I found this person to help us out, and I was able to find someone that was kind enough to connect us with someone that spoke Spanish. And long story short, we were able to stay the night at her place in Miami, complete strangers. And but that was kind of sort of the first spark for my life to realize that I was in this place to do something more than just to be a child, and that I was going to have to provide not only for myself, but for my parents and my future family, my future wife and the future kids that if God blessed me with, I'll get to have one day. So very entrepreneurial early on. My brother, he's my best friend. A lot of the success in my life, I owe it to, of course, my parents, but especially my brother. Now, my wife, that it's a part of my life. But we're very entrepreneurial. In high school, we cleaned houses with my parents. Then we started a little side gig, picking up trash for vacation rental companies. So we had a trailer with a cage, and on Saturdays and Sundays, the houses that had turnover when the waste company wouldn't come during the weekends, we'll go in and pick up trash can by trash can. And it paid very well, but it was a nasty job. And I remember we always had fun doing it, except for spring break when you had the cute sorority girls bringing the trash out to you, and you're just like, man, I want to be hanging out with them on the pool. I don't want to be the trash boy. But all of that really just builds builds a thick skin. Everything tastes a little bit better. And then we had a couple of stunts, my brother and I, buying and selling cars until we realized that things were getting too big to operate without a license. So we kind of had to shut that down. And when I graduated high school, my career in real estate started really in high school. I will take it back actually a couple of years. Our first 4th of July, it was 2006. We went to this place called the Brooks Bridge in Okaloosa Island. And I remember the fireworks were facing south on the harbor, and everybody was mesmerized looking at the fireworks. And there was this mid-rise condo project called the Emerald Grand that was under construction. I didn't know what it was called at the time. And I remember being the only one looking at this building with the cranes and just the reflection of all the fireworks over this building. And I was crying, thinking, one day I got to figure out a way how to build a place like this. And I was kind of crying out of emotion, just a lot of emotions coming in, just a feeling of just a new person in this country, a lot of dreams, a lot of opportunities, but also just kind of figuring it out as we were going. And my mom and my dad were like, hey, what's going on? Are you not enjoying the fireworks? I was like, no. I just feel very empowered right now. Like I'm really taking it all in, and it just felt super inspiring. As it turned out, fast forward 10 years later, the developer of that project, Peter Boss, became one of my best friends and mentor, and one of the catalysts in my career. And so we used to clean the house for this commercial real estate broker, and I've always told her, hey, I want to be a developer when I grow up. And she's like, well, why don't you get your real estate license in the meantime? And I said, well, I'm only, I'm not 18. I'm not, I didn't even know that you could be 18. And she's like, well, you can be 18. All you have to do is have a high school diploma and be 18 years old. So that afternoon, I went to my parents and I said, hey, look, this money that we're saving up for my high school senior trip, I'm going to use it to go to real estate school. So I went to real estate school my right after graduating high school. And I got my real estate license and just started this journey learning. Got to work with a panhandle broker that really specialized in working with more commercial developers and condo developers. So I really got to get a taste for more of an institutional like real estate transactions. And then I enrolled in civil engineering. And so, it wasn't easy. Of course, anyone can get their real estate license, but from there to successfully achieve sales, it's a whole different ballgame. And then going to school full time, it was brutal, especially for me. I was so freshman year, if I remember correctly, if you're majoring in engineering, civil engineering, freshman year courses, you start with I think calculus 1. And because I didn't speak any English growing up in Freeport, they didn't really have the infrastructure for non-English speaking students. I mean, there was one black guy and 2 Hispanics pretty much in the school. So I was put into special eds for most of my high school career. I will come into the school checking, but I will be in a special eds with 5 other kids that really had more special needs than me. And, it was really a beautiful experience, but my my highest math level when I graduated high school was like high school algebra 1. And I remember the people at the college, the career, they looked at it as like, man, it's going to take you like 20 years to graduate. So I had to I had to get permission from the math department to take 2 math classes in tandem that they will allow certain like pre-calculus and trigonometry. They don't advise to take them together, but and I just kind of float through it. So I had just very, very busy, very top heavy college curriculums. But I started selling some real estate and the time, this is the aftermath of the great financial crisis. So around 2009, 2010, but I was able to achieve some transactions. And I've always, beyond a developer, I just love business and the idea of having an idea and turning it into something factual and seeing something grow. But real estate really intrigued me. And so when I was about 20 years old, I was naive enough. I thought I was ready to be a developer. So I had all these savings from real estate transactions, and I assembled a property in Tallahassee about a mile from the main campus, and assembled 3 lots to do a small apartment complex, 16 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms. Took all my savings pretty much. I closed on it and I started going to banks to get a construction loan. And I failed to realize that, I don't know, around 2000, 2011, not a single bank in the country is doing construction financing, much less for a 20, 21-year-old and his 18-year-old partner rushing a fraternity at Florida State University. So that was like a pretty big reality check. And my brother and I got really creative. We couldn't, didn't have a loan, couldn't afford a GC, couldn't afford an architect. So we just roll up our sleeves and we go to the dean of the architecture division and say, hey, who's your best architect student? So connects us with a guy that's senior. We got pretty creative together and drew the box of what each building will look like. And basically over, coffee, we drew had the draft of the plan. $500 later, we had a set that met all the Florida building code requirements. Went to found a structural engineer that will stamp it for a couple $100. Then went to the building department, and as my brother and I, hey, we're gonna pull an owner builder permit. And I remember the building official came up and looked at us like, "Have you guys ever done any construction?" I was like, "No, sir." He's like, "Don't do it. You're gonna fail." And him saying that was like, "Go build the freaking biggest company you can ever build to prove me that I'm wrong." And we did. It was a struggle. We start with the first phase, the site work and foundation, and just our budget numbers are a third of what the market is getting. And finally, one of the more friendly site concrete contractors we asked him, hey, can we borrow your foreman for the weekend? We just cannot afford you. He's like, yeah, sure, just don't hire him full time. And so that one guy let us have him. He knew a couple other guys. Then we kind of learned that the local jail is releasing inmates with minor crimes, I guess, but they really encourage them to get some work before they're fully released. And I might be getting this wrong exactly how that program worked, but the essence was, I remember on a Saturday we end up going down to the local jail and pick up all these guys that are in this program, and here we have like 12 people helping us out with this project, and little by little we finished it. I mean, it cash flowed beautiful. I wish we would have had a 300-acre master plan student housing community, because when you looked at our unit rates per foot on our market rents, they were just absolutely absurd. We were able to achieve on a 1,200 square foot footprint a 25 by 25 foot box, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. They were tiny, but our units were $100 to $150 cheaper than the average units in the market, but our rates were getting like a 30% premium, just because we had such a packed unit. And so finished college. I met Peter Boss, who I mentioned earlier. And basically, it was, we had built a great relationship while I was in college with him. He actually doesn't know this, I don't think. I'm not that I've never like hid it from him. I guess it just has in common conversation. So we met for a school project that I had. I was on assignment to meet a developer in the Panhandle. What he doesn't know is that that was a made up project. I couldn't get him to really pay attention. No one really was just going to give a random meeting to a guy. Hey, everybody's trying to get your time. But so what I did is I picked my top 3 developers in the area. Peter was my favorite. I got to meet his assistant, Wendy, and she's like, I don't know if I can schedule you this meeting. And I just kept bringing chocolates to Wendy like once a week. I was like, hey, Miss Wendy, how's this meeting going? So finally he gives me the meeting, and Peter and I talked for like 15 minutes about this fake project. Hopefully he'll get a good laugh when he listens to it. And then we talked about his life, and I actually like just became obsessed with this guy. He was just such an incredible individual, just, 3 times the brain, the intelligence of your average person. An incredible career, beautiful history. And we talked about like this project for 15 minutes, and we talk about life and work and his career. And he gave me his card and says, hey, stay in touch with me, buddy. I really would like to keep the relationship going. And so fast forward, right after graduating, like the week of graduating college, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I had started a management, a property management company with another friend where I was a broker, and I was looking into vacation rentals. But meanwhile, I'm still doing real estate and a little bit of real estate development, acquisitions, dispositions. But I didn't know what I felt that I wanted to do something more institutional. I was looking into Miami. I was even looking at moving to Dubai. I didn't even know anyone in Dubai, but it just looked like an amazing place to start fresh. But there was this one thing called family, and my parents and my brother, I mean, that's all we have. We had each other, is the 4 of us. And just the thought of living them, I just couldn't stomach that. And so I called Peter, and we hang out, and he says, hey, what you got going on? And I said, well, look, this is what I got. Why don't you, until I figure out where I'm going to land or what I'm going to do or how am I going to grow my business, why don't you let me be with you for 3 months, adding value. I can, have the real estate by now I had a real estate brokerage. Yeah, just let me add value to you. Don't give me a dime. I just want to be able to still work under my company. I still want to be able to do my things, but I will give you like 90% of my time. And he shook my hand. We actually agreed on, he was very generous, and we agreed on a retainer. And we started, that following Monday at 9 a.m. And 3 months turned into about a 5-year journey. Where I was still, I still have my company, but Peter became basically my exclusive client for about 5 years, and really just learn about everything and anything. And he's just such an interesting guy, involved in so many different industries, so many different businesses. So really just strengthen our acquisitions, dispositions, master planning, entitlements, litigation, debt restructuring, financial engineering, management, construction management. I mean, you name it. I mean, and I really got to be with Peter every single day. We'll go on trips together, look at sites. And also, just like everybody else that was a big developer at the time, Peter had to overcome a major challenge with all of these banks going after everyone. So just got to see an individual trying to save his company from all these banks not willing to negotiate with him, while at the same time is still having to run a business with that has multiple of subsidiaries, with hundreds and hundreds of employees across the board, multiple asset classes, and it was more than a work relationship. I mean, Peter, my father is always going to be my father, and there's no one that can replace him. He's my hero, the man that I look up to the most, along with my brother. But he really became a very important, and I will tell to him, he's like a father in business. I mean, we became very, very good friends. To this day, we were very, 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 very close friends. And it's like we're like two 15-year-olds when we're together. There's no age gap between us. It's like literally every time I'm with him is like two 15-year-olds daydreaming. And it's just the coolest thing ever. And then around 2015, I became a GC, so opened up our GC division. We started doing more and more construction management for others, still doing real estate. Do you have any questions for me so far?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is like how our original conversation was going when I met you a couple months ago. I'm so glad that this is exactly how it's going again, because I could literally sit here and just listen to you without asking any questions. However, since we're on a podcast, I do want to dive in here and I mean, just a couple of things that I wrote down. I've already got like a half page of like notes, and one of the things that really stood out to me is like, this is the definition of what I think the American dream is for like an immigrant, from living in Colombia. You had this journey from like what you said when you were born to roughly 8 years old, to where like you guys had it all, right? You had the nice things. So you had a taste of that. You had a memory of that. And then you also experienced rock bottom, to where you're in Colombia going to a public school, like we're really rough kids. And there's probably a stigma because you come from a different family that had a lot. And so you're treated a certain way. Then you come into this country, you don't even speak the language, right? Fortunately, you land on the shores of 30A, which is amazing in itself, like completely lucky, it sounds like. But you've got this level of grit and ingenuity, and you go from a housekeeping business to trash business to real estate license. And maybe, I don't even know if there's a craziest part of it all, but like you go pick the literally the guy in Destin, the top real estate developer. You don't go, there's a tons of real estate developers in this amazing place, Destin, Santa Rosa Beach, but you pick the top guy. Right. And it's not like, and that just, to me, that says probably that's something that's in your DNA, in your blood, right? That like, you're not going to go for the second tier, third tier, like you're going to go to the guy. Right. And I didn't know this, and he sounds like he doesn't even know this, but you get creative and force yourself into a door, right? By how can you turn down a kid who's trying to get his, a school project and who has a little, grit, obviously. And so it's just an amazing story, really. And I'm so glad that anyone listening got to share this or got to hear this, because it's such a unique story and it's an amazing one. And dude, you're like what, 35 or 37 or how old are you?
I'm 34 right now, but I feel like 45.
Yeah, 34, so you're just getting started, right? Like this is literally the freaking second chapter of your long journey ahead, right? And it's an amazing one. So I want to unpack a couple things in this story though. And the first one I want to start with is your mindset, right? Like I'm a firm believer, and no matter where you start in your life, and wherever you're at today, like the first thing you have to get in order is your mindset, right? Like I'm a big believer in health. I'm a big believer in faith, big believer in family, all the things. All of that goes aside if you don't have that right mindset. How did you what did you do to start developing your mindset at an early age to get to where you are today?
Yeah. So I think I'm a firm believer that, that saying, I think Henry Ford, those who think they can't, whether you think you can't or you can, you're both right. It's absolutely true. I think God gave us humans this beautiful superpower that we can turn imagination ideas into reality. And I think from a early childhood, I'm just a dreamer, right? I just get these crazy ideas in my head, and I believe that I can do it. Whether it takes me a day or 100 years, maybe it's something that my grandkids, like literally, I have goals or dreams that I'm teeing things up that hopefully somebody in our company or one of our grandkids, if I get to have the blessing of having them, will finish in our behalf. But I am just one of those dumb individuals that I believe that everything is possible.
Is there anything specifically, though, just to go a little deeper, like that you do to help cultivate this?
Yeah. So when I was as a child, I kind of started writing. Like I've always had this. It was more abstract at the time, but this grand vision of what I see myself as, like as an older individual, 30, 40, 50 years on the road. And I think around the time I was 16, maybe 17, I wrote a 10-year plan with a long-term vision. And every year for my birthday, I will just kind of lock myself up, go to a quiet, calm place, and just look at it and write it down. So I've always had a vision, and I've always been very goal oriented. And so, but and while I was able to achieve things, I did a struggle with the achievement of the short term goals. And so what is it that they say? You overestimate your long term goals, but you underestimate your short term goals. And so I definitely had some struggle with that, but thanks to, with EOS, Mike Ellicott over the last 4 years, which we can touch base on some of that earlier, I was able to really get crystal clear on having a multi-generation vision with a clear purpose in my life and for our company and everyone that we surround ourselves with, paired up with a 10-year crystal clear target, and then 3-year goals, 1-year goals broken down into quarterlies. But another thing in my life that has changed my life completely over the last 5 years, 6 years, that has really kind of allowed me to start and hitting this next trench in our company, in our career, is my daily routine. Starts every morning with gratitude. Write the top 3 things that I'm grateful for yesterday, and it's not the things that I'm grateful for having a car or no. It's like I'm grateful I got to drink fresh water. I am grateful I got to go for a walk and I still have my 2 knees. I'm grateful I got to kiss my wife goodnight. Like all those things that with all this material world that we have, we get distracted and kind of forget about what's the most valuable thing in this world. I mean, I think you can ask any billionaire that's in their twilight, that has lost a kid or a spouse, and they'll probably say that they'll be willing to give it all just to be with that person that they love. So at the end of the day, like while we are chasing dreams and we have, financial reward could be the byproduct of certain things that we accomplish, this life is way too damn short. I mean, like you ask any kid today, what was Rockefeller's favorite meal or Henry Flagler, or his favorite thing. I mean, no one remember. We know who they are from books and whatnot, but if you think about today, the most successful financial accolades person that we know, their grandkids are going to know less about them than you and I. So all these BS that we're sometimes trying to chase and we kind of get lost in, it's really irrelevant in the long term.
Yeah, 100%. A couple things come to mind when you share some of this. First, you've obviously got great parents, right? Because no 16-year-old kid, I don't care how you were born, like, and whether it's parents or grandparents or, whatever the family situation is, yours or your parents, you've spoken openly about that, but you've got to have great parents to be at 15, 16 years old talking about 10-year plans and begin, the next thing I think is Stephen Covey's begin with the end in mind. Like, this is critical stuff for people to hear. Like, you have to be intentional about where you want to go, then work backwards to figure out what you need to be doing every single day in order to accomplish these goals, which you've obviously done expertly. And then the little things, which I'm a huge believer in, is the simple practice of gratitude. Thank you for sharing this, because it's what you focus on expands, right? And when you start focusing on the good things in life, you look for more good things, right? We as humans naturally, to try to stay alive, like, we think of and we fear, like, we're naturally fear-driven people if you let it be, right? And so you have to be very intentional. You never have it mastered, right? It's like success is never final, right? So you have to be constantly aware and focus on these gratitudes daily, right? And it changes your life. Big believer in that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then too, just especially for the listeners, because I think that this will be really helpful. And then after that, then I journal and I write the top things that I'm proud of that I did yesterday, because we often go by through the day and then we just feel like we didn't accomplish. You have to be your biggest fan. If you're not your biggest cheerleader, I think that so you got to believe in yourself and you got to pat yourself in the back. So I write the top things that I'm proud of myself for what I accomplished yesterday. Then I read my personal statement of purpose in life. I go over our company's 10-year target, our 1-year target goals, and then the top things that I need to accomplish this quarter. And then I write the top 2 things. Sometimes it's 3 or 4, but I really try to always limit it to 2. What are the top 2 things that I have to do today that are going to keep us in line with this quarterly goals that are aligned with that 1-year goal, 3-year and 10-year vision? And I don't care if I have 500 text messages, 20 missed calls, emails coming out of the wazoo. Everything else becomes irrelevant. And I really just work on that until it's done, because we have a tendency to become pleasers. And the game is, there's only so many hours in the day. And it's something that it's been very hard to learn and master. And I'm still not a master at it. But this is a game of deletion, not addition. And you really got to figure out, you only have 24 hours in the day. And you really got to respect those 24 hours. And really just do the things that you care the most and that are the most important to you. So really focusing on those top 2 things and disregarding everything else. And a lot of my friends, drives them crazy because I am not the best with text and getting back with people. But all I gotta say is I feel a lot more focused than I was even 5 years ago. So that's been great for me.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing. Take me through your morning routine. What time do you get up? In addition to your gratitude, your journal, and your priorities versus task, are you doing anything else?
Yeah, so I travel a lot, so I used to be very hard on myself about I gotta wake up at this time regardless of where I am. But I try to get 7 hours of sleep, no more than 8. I really try to go to bed before 10 o'clock, and then I wake up at 5:20. When I'm doing my routine well, that I'm not eating heavy at night and finish my first meal before 7, my last meal before 7 o'clock, I should be able to wake up in my own right around 5:18, 5:19. And I'm typically ready to go. I just drink a ton of water. And then if I'm not going to work out and I'm going to go straight to I got a meeting later on, whatnot, then I'll shower with cold water, but I'll do my journaling, meditation. I meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. Really, that's kind of like the first thing that I do. Give gratitude, meditate for 5 minutes, just listening to my breath, being present. Then I journal, I write my statement of purpose and so forth. And then if I have time, I'll get a 30, 40-minute workout. But I always do that. I mean, either in the day, in the morning, or in the afternoon. And I just have my own little checklist where I kind of have my guide of what are the top things that I got to do. Did I journal and meditate? Check. Did I work out? Check. Did I accomplish an important task for a real estate construction division? Check. Did I accomplish an important task for our real estate? Well, I said real estate. Our construction division? Check. Am I working on the culture of the company? Check. Am I working on processes? How to elevate my team and our company? Check. And those are kind of like my checks and balances for every day. And I know that it seems complicated and like it takes a lot, but if you have a ritual, and I've kind of coined this saying that I have in my notes, but if I can conquer my morning, I can conquer my day. And if I can conquer my mind, I can conquer my world. And it really is a mind game. So that's sort of like the simple principles that I've kind of, I didn't invented them, but I've came across them over the years.
You've adopted them as your own. Yeah. And I love to talk about this topic because it's so consistent amongst the top performers and the people that I look up to the most and most successful. They all share this, right? They're super intentional with their morning routine, right? Whatever it is for them. And it typically has these components, right? To where there's a spiritual component, your meditation, the gratitude, the journaling, the exercise, and adopt this and then stay disciplined with it, your life will change. I promise you. Anyone listen to this, try it. Want to pivot a little bit and talk through, and maybe this is where we can give EOS a shout out. I don't want to wear out the listeners because they've heard me talk all about traction and EOS and the importance of it. But talk to me about your philosophy on leadership and then maybe some of the values that really guide your life.
Yeah, thank you. So my style of leadership is, everyone plays a vital role in an organization. I don't care if you're the person that's sweeping the floors, or you're a top producer, or you're in the executive team. Leadership is something that everybody has to have in an organization. And I'm really, for as corny as this may sound, I am really trying to surround myself with people that are smarter than me, which is not very hard, by the way. We can find those pretty easily. And so, but to touch base, not to get on an EOS tangent here. There's if you're in business long enough, decades, multi-generations, eventually you're going to develop all these processes and systems in place to help you successfully not only run your company, but to be able to scale. And EOS just happens to be one of those systems. When I, kind of went in this journey 3-4 years ago, I'm one of those people that sometimes if I get in a rabbit hole, I just got to look at everything that's available. And I figure I can do this better than them. And I'm going to take the best from this and the best from that. And one thing where Mike Ellicott was really just instrumental. And he just says, look, there's a million things out there that work, but just stick to one. And I was like, he's right. I just, sure. Is there something that might have a little different tweak here and there, but sticking to an operating system that can help me express myself as a company leader and as a visionary is super, super helpful. So yeah, has that answered your question so far?
No, it certainly answered it. And, just a touch more on that. It's like, as visionary, and I can relate, it's like, you're always on to the next thing. You think big, you're got this big guiding light, but you thrive on change. Well, your organization doesn't, right? And most people that work for the company don't thrive on constantly being on the edge of their seat and what's next and what are we about to change. And so it just gives it a little bit more structure. It's not to take the entrepreneurial spirit out of the company. It's just to give you a little something to keep a little bit of order and keep your trend upwards, right? Instead of dipping and diving.
Well, and then here's another, another major thing that at least for me. So we've grown entrepreneurially, but we've also grown through acquisitions. So I've acquired a few companies over the years, and those companies come with different cultures. And one of my struggles in early 2020, maybe late 2019, I was in a shell with my vision because I had this team that ran the construction company, team doing real estate, and we had this focus also on technology. And I just felt like I couldn't be myself. I felt that I was more. I don't want to use the word that I was trying to please people, but yeah, in a lot of ways you become more of a pleaser. And I was kind of toning it down on who I really am and what is my vision for the company, which Seven Seas Ventures, the reason why we're called Seven Seas Ventures is we are a company that one day we're going to be in every continent in the world. We build strong relationships that takes us anywhere in the world in pursuit of business opportunities. And that was something that was really hard for me to kind of explain to a superintendent overseeing a federal job in Alabama, or to a real estate acquisitions guy looking for sites in Florida. And a big, which I gotta give a shout out, Stanford University. They have an incredible program. I was part of this cohort. This was for Latino founders, Stanford University, Elban, and it was really great to help us kind of have a crystal clear vision for our company. And so that was the precursor to EOS. And so yeah, it's been incredible for us. Now, it takes 7 times for the average person to hear something for the first time. And really your purpose, your vision, your mission, your values, your 10-year target, your 1-year targets, it's something that you just don't print and put in the back of the refrigerator. Everyone in the company, if you as a visionary, as a leader in your company, you get that everyone understands this equally, whether you're brooming the floors or an executive in the company. You can really get everyone on the same page. And I'm not going to say that you're going to be the biggest company, but you will absolutely see drastic change within your own organization in just a matter of 2 to 3 years.
100%. Moving to the next topic, because I got a couple more topics I want to hit before our time comes to an end. We've touched on the importance of relationships in your life and in your career, but I want to go a little bit deeper. I'm a firm believer in the saying relationships run the world, right? I've had super successful mentors and leaders that are further along in their journey pour into me. And it's like, there's no way I would be where I'm at today as a 31-year-old business guy if I didn't have that. Sounds like it's the same case for you. Touch to me just a little bit on, maybe not even like how important it was to you, because we've heard how important Peter Boss was and still is to this day, but maybe someone that's looking to attract that mentor, like what do they need to do to add value to that person to where they may want to help you?
Absolutely. Look, and what we can do is we can even run, a little bit longer. You can edit some things so you can decide what the listeners want best. But I'll say the key is you have to be willing to do the things that others want, and that will always pay off. And I'll try to make this super short. Another important person in my life, equally as important as Peter, and a game changer, someone that believed in me. When we were building Lulu's in Destin with Peter Boss, the neighboring condo tower didn't want us to build it, and there was some litigation, and there was this particular lady that owned one of the penthouses that she just didn't want us to do it, and we finally got over it, and some things were promised to them because they owned one of the slips of the marina, and I remember it was opening day. And all the things that were promised to her, just because of the commotion of this restaurant being built, weren't delivered, and she was very upset. And she was getting almost on an argument in front of everyone with Lucy Buffett, Jimmy Buffett's sister. And I remember took it upon myself. I had nothing to do with the operations of the restaurant. We're just the developer and the builder. And my brother went in to secure a table because they had to, wait for an hour. And she's like, I want my VIP table. and she was very particular about dark and stormies and copper mugs. So I went with my own money, went to Publix, and spent $200, nicest rum, copper mugs, brought it to the restaurant, and say, hey, look, this is for her. Some things were, promised to her. I know that with all this going on, but just take care of her. And she called me the next day, and she's like, you and your brother were just so special, went above and beyond. I want you to meet my husband. He's got different businesses. I think you guys will hit it off. Because of that act, Taiki became my best friend. We later became business partners in some ventures. I later ended up acquiring one of their companies, and that became basically the pillar for what is now our federal construction division. They had this just huge track record on doing institutional and federal construction, and so had I not have the mindset that I'm always willing to do what others want, our company today will be completely different. And just like Peter, Taiki became like a true best friend, and also someone that I admire. Unfortunately, we lost Taiki. He was in his mid 70s a few years ago, but he was just someone that completely changed my life. And I mean, relationships are everything. I think you can do more knowing the right people, having the right people that believe in you, and having the right knowledge than having $1 million in your pocket with no knowledge, no relationships. I'll all day long take the right relationships, the right contacts, the right knowledge over money in the bank with no knowledge, no contacts.
Beautifully said. It's so good. And I think that this resonates with me like 100%. And people overlook this. Like, they want to reach out to someone that's successful and they want them to take them under the wing, but it's like me. Like, what? How can you help me? What can you do for me? That's not it. It's a servant's mindset, right? You have to go in and look for ways to serve others, right? And then once you start building relationships to where you're serving others, you get to start figuring out what you're truly about, your character, right? Do our values align? And then typically these people that are further along, if you are a hustler, they resonate with you because they see their former self as a part of you, right? And I guarantee you heard that, right, from these guys, these older gentlemen that have been further along their career. I see a part of me in you, so I want to help you get to where I'm at, right? You're going to get there regardless. I just want to be a part of your journey, because you're going to do what it takes.
Exactly. So, yeah. It's like within our company. I mean, we have incredible team members, but there's always, and this is in every organization, there's the people that you can really tell that they're here for a paycheck. And unfortunately, I'll say every quarter, our team becomes more a reflection of who we truly are. So I'm very proud of that. But the people that the first conversation is, what's going to be my salary? And you can just tell I get it. Everybody's got to make a living. We all got to live, but people don't realize that the ones that are going to be the most successful and the ones that are going to be able to grow and then be able to grow on their own are the ones that are willing to do the things that others want and bring unexpected results. Somebody that goes out on their way to secure a new client when they were not in the business development role, or someone that figure out a way to complete a project ahead of time under schedule, or someone that figure out a way to find an incredible property that we can develop when that's not their role at all. I mean, that just speaks volumes. So yeah.
One last thing to add to that, and it's not always the case, but fortunately we live in this great country of America, and your net worth and your compensation is typically tied to how much value you add, right? So you can come in and make a starting wage salary, but if you go in with the mindset of like, I'm coming to kill it every day, I'm going to add value where I'm at, people take notice, right? And people start coming to those people who are adding value and solving challenges. And then it's like, I've got to keep this guy on my team, or he's going to leave and get paid X. So then you start making jumps, and then they're like, oh, well, I can go start this business. And then that owner is like, well, I want to partner with him because he's so solid, you know? And so it's like add value with where you're at today with your 10-year goals and long-term targets, and then but stay focused in the present. Couple things I want to bring up. You know, my faith and my family are the most important components of my life. What role has your faith played in your journey?
So I am a believer in God. I am not your typical. My family grew up Catholic. We live in a in a country where there's really a lot of. I remember when I first came here, it's like it's kind of like fast food chains. I mean, there's one denomination church here, then there's the other one. We're in Colombia. Like everyone I knew my whole life was pretty much Catholic, and so because I've traveled so much and I've gotten to meet just all kinds of religions and beautiful people around the world, I have faith in God. I believe in God. It's my number one priority in my life. Then it's my family. Then it's my physical and mental health. And then there's my business. And so those sort of the order, but faith is everything. I don't think I'm not saying that you cannot be successful if you don't have faith in something. But I mean, how can you not believe in a greater power, creator of everything? This place is just so incredible. Just the fact that you and I get to sit here and talk to one another, that just didn't randomly happen, right? So I think that is a very, very, very beautiful thing.
And then if on your family front, so you're recently married, and are you expecting your first kid?
Not yet. My
Not
wife,
yet.
we've been together for almost 2 years. She's my best friend. I'm so blessed. I used to say I'm lucky to have her in my life, but it's really the other way around. I am the one that is the lucky one, that I get to be a part of her life and learn about her and experience her. So she's from Alabama, and we've known each other now for almost 10 years. We've been married for 2, and we're engaged for almost 2 years.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good stuff. And so the best is yet to come, because I know I know you'll be a great dad, just like your parents were, and have a lot to look forward to. So the show is called Legacy Builders. So I like to touch on this, in every conversation that we record on here. What does legacy mean to you?
Yeah, thank you. So I will kind of tie that up to what our 10-year target is and what our purpose as a company is. So my purpose in life, which became the purpose of our company, is turning dreams into better lives. For me, that started when my mom and dad gave up everything to give my brother and I a better future, chasing that American dream. And it's something that I want to, that it's my energy, it's my passion, is what wakes me up. Is when the going gets tough, is that extra boost that says I can just run through a brick wall. And that's a purpose that should stay true even if this company is still around in 200-300 years from now. That purpose should still be the same. What are the dreams? A various number of dreams, from company level dreams, where our 10-year target is by December 31st, 2033, we'll become a driving economic engine, performing over $200 million in annual recurring revenue, 80% of it coming from our own development projects, while allowing us to touch 1,000+ lives from our team members to the next generation. Internal dreams that our team members are able to achieve, whether it's be able to send a daughter for college, the first person in college in their family, to one day being a company that is in every continent in the world. I mean, I don't know what our company will be like in 50, 60 years from now, but I sure hope that it still has the same purpose, and that it's maybe run by, it'll be really cool. Sure, like one of my kids and grandkids, but how cool will it be if another guy like me that maybe didn't have all the opportunities just work through the ranks and is the grandson of the first custodian that we had at our office. So yeah, I think that's just
who wouldn't want to be a part of that vision? No, that's I mean, that's inspiring and it's fun, right? To be a part of something that's bigger than ourselves, right? Like you have to, in order to get to these goals, you have to create something that is way bigger than Camilo. You know, this is about a lot more people than just one person. So that's amazing. I love that. And thank you for sharing that. Question I like to ask, you know, because we've covered so much and there's so many principles, and it's not, you know, there is not just one principle. However, if you could only teach one principle to a young entrepreneur today, what would it be?
Ooh, if I had to boil it down to one thing, I mean, just every time in my life, be willing to do the things that others want. Um, if you do that, and you can name that in multiple different ways, work harder than everyone, yada yada. But if you really are willing to do the things that others want, that's just gonna pay off. And the more you do of it, there's that saying, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Is true. I mean, the more you put yourself out there, the more you go the extra mile, things are just gonna happen. And just be patient. I mean, I've had years in my career where I just keep grinding and grinding. I'm like, man, it's just so easy to see other guys that just have so much success, but you just don't know others' stories. Maybe their father had an incredible connection and they just picked up the phone and they were able to get in a room that it would have taken someone else 10 years to do it. So just focus on yourself. Who cares what others are doing? The race is just with yourself. There's always going to be somebody bigger, stronger, richer, whatever. Just focus on yourself and be willing to do the things that others want.
Great advice. And you shared something earlier that made me think of this. You had some self-deprecating comment about like, it's not hard to be smarter than me, and you're focused on surrounding yourself with people smarter. But I guarantee you that the discipline that you bring to your life and the things that you do every single day, 99.99% of the population aren't doing. Right. And so it's not always about being the smartest person. It's exactly what you just said. Are you willing to commit to do the things that it takes to be a certain level of success, and then do them over and over and over? Right. And so such wisdom.
And I think sometimes being too smart is a problem. I mean, I know people that I know for a fact their IQ is probably several points higher than me. But they're so smart that they get on their own ways, and sometimes
analysis paralysis.
You've always met that person that they're so smart, but everything you say is stupid. All right, well, like I'd rather be Forrest, run, like Jack Mass is, and you know what? Consistency and discipline will outrun smart all day long.
Yeah, 100%. I tell people all the time, like your biggest goal should be just to get in the game. Like you can figure out every pro forma, every spreadsheet I've ever done, every deal I've done, there's been a reason why not to do it, right? Multiple reasons, probably honestly more reasons not to do it than to do it. But by getting in the game, you learn, you get lucky, right? Like it's not luck. It's like you're taking action, So good. Well, man, this has been an awesome conversation. I appreciate you sharing all that you've learned to this date. I'm excited to stay, connected with you and keep watching you just crush it and keep doing big things. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on another episode of Legacy Builders. Remember, legacy isn't just about what you build. It's about the vision, the values, and the people that you bring up with you as well. So until next time, keep building with purpose. Actually, Camilo, if people resonated with your story and wanted to reach out to, connect with you one-on-one, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can send me an email to Camilo at 7seasventures.co. You can put that in the bio if you want to. Yep. And it's .co, not .co. So Camilo, Camilo at 7seasventures.co, all spelled out. Yeah, I mean, I would love to, like, if there's someone that truly is willing to do the things that others want, I will love to talk to you.
Yeah, so someone out there, take him up, because Camilo's the man, obviously, if you listen to this whole episode, and has big things ahead. So, again, man, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you very much. And till next time, thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate you.